The first time Mila made her bed aboard the Valorous Dawn, she hadn't noticed the audience. She'd been too focused on smoothing the regulation gray sheets, tucking the corners with the precise hospital fold her grandmother had taught her decades ago on Earth. It was a small ritual, a fragment of humanity carried across light years of cold void. But Rock had noticed. The Krath warrior stood nearly 8 feet tall, his scaled hide the color of dried blood, his eyes like molten copper. He was the pride of his clan, a decorated predator from a species that had conquered 17 star systems before humanity had even achieved faster-than-light travel. The Krath didn't make beds. They didn't need comfort. They took what they wanted and slept where they fell. Yet there he stood in the doorway of the human quarters, massive head tilted, watching Mila's small hands work the fabric with inexplicable precision. "What are you doing?" Rock's voice rumbled like distant thunder, his translator struggling with the concept. Mila jumped, nearly dropping her pillow. "Making my bed," she said, as if it were the most obvious thing in the universe. "Why?" She blinked up at him. This creature who could tear a bulkhead door from its hinges, who had personally slain a hive queen in single combat. "Because I sleep in it, and it's nicer when it's neat?" Rock's pupils contracted. His head tilted the other way. The concept seemed to physically pain him, but he didn't leave. 3 days later, Mila found Rock standing beside his sleeping platform, a simple slab the Krath used aboard their vessels. He'd somehow acquired human bedding. The sheets lay in a crumpled heap on the platform, one corner vaguely tucked, the rest a disaster. "I attempted the ritual," Rock admitted, his voice carrying an edge of frustration that might have preceded violence in another context. Mila bit her lip to keep from smiling. "Would you like me to show you?" What followed was perhaps the strangest tutorial in human history. Mila demonstrated each step slowly, explaining the logic behind hospital corners, the importance of pulling the fabric taut, the aesthetic satisfaction of a properly fluffed pillow. Rock watched with the intensity he usually reserved for weapons demonstrations, his clawed hands hovering uncertainly over the delicate fabric. When he finally managed a passable bed wrinkled and slightly lopsided, but recognizably made, something shifted in his copper eyes. Pride, perhaps, or the birth of something humanity had weaponized since the dawn of civilization. Competition. Word spread through the Krath contingent like wildfire through oxygen. Within a week, 7 Krath warriors had casually observed Mila's morning routine. Within 2 weeks, the human quarters corridor had become a bizarre thoroughfare of predators, watching a single woman make her bed. With the focus, scholars might apply to ancient texts. Then came the competitions. It started innocently enough. Rock mentioned to his nest brother Vex that he could now make his bed in under 4 minutes. Vex, who had served in the Third Flesh Wars, took this as a challenge to his honor. The next morning, Mila emerged from her quarters to find 2 Krath warriors standing rigidly beside their respective sleeping platforms, sheets held ready, staring at each other with lethal intensity. "Human Mila," Rock said formally, never breaking eye contact with Vex. "You want me to judge a bed-making competition?" Yes. She shouldn't have agreed. She definitely shouldn't have laughed. But the sight of 2 apex predators, creatures who had terrorized a dozen species across the galaxy, waiting with barely contained aggression to tuck in sheets, was simply too much. "All right," Mila said, pulling out her datapad. "On my mark. 3, 2, 1. What happened next would become legend aboard the Valorous Dawn. Vex attacked his bed with the same ferocity he'd once brought to planetary invasions, sheets snapping through the air like whips. But speed without technique meant nothing. His corners came untucked almost immediately. Rock, meanwhile, worked with deliberate precision, each fold a calculated movement. His massive hands, designed to crush and tear, moved with surprising delicacy across the fabric. Hospital corners locked into place. The pillow received 3 careful adjustment taps. "Rock wins," Mila announced. 3 minutes, 47 seconds. But Vex, Your tucking speed on the long side was actually faster. You just need to. She didn't get to finish. 6 more Kroth warriors materialized from various corridors, all demanding instruction, all insisting they could beat Rock's time. By the end of the month, the phenomenon had spread to 3 other Krath vessels in the fleet. Commanders reported decreased aggression incidents, increased attention to personal quarters maintenance, and a bizarre but statistically significant improvement in fine motor skills among their warriors. The humans found it hilarious. The Krath found it essential. Mila found herself giving daily lessons, creating charts of personal bests, adjudicating disputes over corner technique. She'd inadvertently become the most influential human in Krath culture since first contact. "I don't understand," she told Rock one evening, watching as a line of warriors waited outside the training room she'd been assigned. "You're apex predators. Conquerors. Why does this matter so much to you?" Rock considered this, his claws carefully smoothing a wrinkle from his own now impeccable bedding. "We Kroth are warriors. We understand hierarchy, strength, victory. But you, humans," he gestured to the perfectly made bed, "you find honor in small things, precision without combat, excellence without bloodshed. You make order from chaos simply because it is better." He met her eyes, and for the first time, Mila saw not a predator, but a student, earnest and slightly awed. "You taught us that strength can be gentle, that discipline can be domestic, that pride can be found in tucking corners no one else will see." Rock's expression shifted into what might have been a smile on a human face. "Besides, Vex still claims he can beat my time. He's wrong, but the attempt brings him joy." From the corridor came sounds of aggressive sheet snapping and a triumphant roar. 3 minutes, 45 seconds, someone bellowed. Rock's eyes narrowed. Impossible. His left corner always fails. He was gone before Mila could respond, moving with predatory speed toward the training room, determined to defend his title. Mila smiled and turned back to her own quarters. Tomorrow she'd teach them about properly folding fitted sheets. That would really blow their minds.